Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to explain to you what is polymorphism. Before I can go into that topic, it is very important that you understand inheritance and overriding of the methods. If you are not sure, please refer to one of my videos. Let's get started. As you can see, example given on the screen, I have a car class defined which will be acting as a superclass. I have a Toyota and Honda classes which will be extending car class as their superclass, and each of those subclasses are overriding all of the methods available in the car class with their own brand name printed at the front of each string. And on the main class, I'm executing each of these objects so I can show you how it works. So when I execute this class, as you can see, the car object only executes method with brake applied, headlight on and headlight off string printed. When Toyota and Honda overrides those methods, they will just print their brand name at the front, and this is what you can see here as a result. Let's get into polymorphism. Imagine you are the test engineer of the company and your boss says, I want you to test all of the brake system for all of the different car models. Now you have a few different ways to approach it. So one way to achieve it is have some automated test running which one by one goes through each model of the car and test their brake system. So let's say we write some basic test system which may be in a for loop, just goes through each model of the car and apply the brake system and see what result comes up. So in our case it will be, let's say we do it 5 times, and we'll call each object and say okay, we will test generic brake system, we will also test Toyota brake system, and we will also test Honda brake system. And next day your boss says okay, we also have to test headlight. So what you will do, you will go and again extend your test case and then do headlight testing, and you will say okay, let's also do headlight on and off both together. So now we have tested all the different cars headlight on off feature as well. Now imagine you have class which has so many different features and you have to test all of the models, and your boss says now you have to test the whole car automatically. So imagine your for loop is gonna get longer and longer, and it will become so complicated that maintenance will be the nightmare. So this is where polymorphism kicks in. So let me show you how polymorphism can make our life very easy. So to achieve the same thing what we have just done here at the bottom, if we use polymorphism, the code would look much more simpler. So let me show you how it's achieved. So let me create a list which is of type car. We want to call that variable test object, for example, and then let's create a new array list. Now we have created a list object which is actually a type of car. Now what polymorphism allows us to do, that if car class is a parent of any child class, you can also store child class objects within the same list. So let me show you with an example. So if we add new object within that list, I can store car object, and at the same time I can store Toyota object and I can store Honda object. As you can see, compiler does not complain if we store car, Toyota and Honda, all different object types within the same list object, because according to polymorphism rules, if you have child class extending the same superclass, then you can store all the child class objects within the object which is of type superclass. We'll see how it actually gets used. So now that we have list that holds all the objects that we want to iterate through, we can use that list to go through all of these methods. So instead of iterating 5 times, let's say iterate for the size of the list. So we know that we have 3 different type of objects, so we can iterate 3 different times. And instead of going through each of these objects and calling the same method, we can now just use the object get the first object and then say use the apply break function, and we can do the same thing for headlight on and headlight off. So if I comment out our previous code, you will see that basically these for loop pretty much achieves same thing that we have seen here. If I just run this code, you will see what I mean. So what we are doing is we are saying that in your first iteration, call the very first object, which is in our case it's a car, and it will iterate through all these 3 methods. Then during the second iteration, it will use the Toyota object and it will call the same 3 methods. And the third iteration, it will use Honda object and iterate through the same 3 methods. And compiler knows that Honda is a child class of the car class, and so it will, during the compile time, resolve which method to use. So instead of calling the superclasses method, it will actually call the Honda's own method implementation. And as you can see that we have pretty much tested the whole lot within just 3 simple lines. So I have shown you example with only 3 methods, but imagine a class with hundreds and hundreds of different methods. And if you can use polymorphism, then all you have to do is write only few lines, and then you can just iterate through all possible objects and they will all achieve the same thing. So hopefully now you guys understand how polymorphism can be used. Polymorphism can be used many different ways. In this tutorial we have only looked at just one example. I would be covering more example in my upcoming tutorials, so keep watching.